Hello, my name's Stefan Senna, and I'm out here at the Clackamas River attempting to fish. If you're seeking instruction, don't copy what I'm doing. See that? I don't know, it's been, other than a failed attempt last year, it's been probably about 30 years since I fished. Well, I guess I fished once in the ocean about 20 years ago. But anyway, welcome to my channel. My channel is called, this one is called The Coherence Path. All roads lead to you. And, you know, fishing for me, as it turns out, fishing for me is a path back to myself, because it's something, whether I catch something or not, I really enjoyed when I was a kid. I fished quite a bit. I probably fished any and every free hour I had, I would fish. And I didn't have any lessons. I think I just did what my parents told me to do, or what I saw them do. And get you a little better view of the water here. And so I know this is a new, I'll blame it on the new reel. This is a new rod and reel for me. So that's why I'm screwing up all the time. It couldn't be my lack of skill, right? But yeah, I never spent a whole lot of time becoming a pro fisherman. I just enjoyed fishing. If I caught something, I thought it was a great surprise. And because you just never know. You never know what's down there. Not sure where I'm supposed to look at in the camera here. Anyway, you probably don't care about that. Well, I thought I would, on this video, share my near-death experience. I wanted to do it when I was relaxed, enjoying myself, and maybe there was something you could enjoy too, besides listening to my funny voice. Back in 1997, I think the fish are kind of intimidated by me. I think they think I'm a great fisherman, perhaps, and they're getting ready to bite. But in 1997, up to that point, at least for the last like 5 or so years prior to that, I was just go, go, go. I was working. I was working out. I was running. I was dating. Mountain biking. I really didn't sit still for very long at all. I wasn't doing art, I'll tell you that. I had I had said to hell with art. I grew up doing art from the time I was in diapers. I remember scribbling with crayons on the coffee table. I don't know what the heck I was trying to scribble, but I was sure going at it. And then I drew pretty much everything under the sun. I even drew some automobiles, though I wouldn't say I'm good at or even interested in doing mechanical drawing. But any animal, person, science fiction subject, monsters, dinosaurs, you know. I did a lot of birds, wildlife, but I also copied a lot of other artists, trying to learn from their styles. But all of it sort of came to a point where I didn't even enjoy doing art anymore because I didn't really have a voice of my own. I guess it's kind of like if you're a musician and all you ever did was play somebody else's music and you never really created at least one song for yourself, then, you know, just sort of takes the fun out of it. At least it did for me. I had tried to sell art. I'd been ripped off several times. You know, I was young, naive. I had people steal my art. And I was just kind of done. I was done with it. I was sick of art. Wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. A guy who worked in an art gallery told me once, he said, you know, you're a really good technician, but there's no emotion or really voice in your art. And I agreed with him. I said, you're absolutely right. I have no personal connection to it. I don't feel anything from it. And I don't really have anything to say. I don't really know what to say. And so I got rid of all my paints, threw them all in the garbage. I threw a bunch of old artwork away. Some of the stuff I kept because there wasn't that much artwork I had, because I had lost about 400 pieces of it in Texas when I went to Texas for 3 months. I was robbed twice, held up at gunpoint. So anyway, I had no interest in doing art. I had been through a lot of stuff, and I had done some really stupid things in my life because I wasn't prepared to face life based on the upbringing I had, even though, you know, my parents meant the best, I'm sure, but, you know, I could run a restaurant or a farm or a ranch, but handling emotional stuff, understanding logic and intuition, problem solving things without getting bent out of shape. I didn't have any internal tools to navigate the challenges of life. And I had had near-death experience when I was a kid, and then I had an incident where I was rock climbing, and a big boulder was headed towards my head, and I didn't know what to do, and I said, what do I do? And a voice told me to push off hard, and I did. I fell 20 some feet, but I survived. And I had that same voice talk to me a couple other times. One time it saved my life when I was out by myself when I was about 11. Somebody decided to hunt me instead of deer. And that's all I'll say about that. But that voice told me what to do, and that's why I'm here today. But so anyway, in 1997, it was like a triangle of events happened. I went to a swimming pool. I was very athletically, I was in great shape. I thought, you know, I'm going to go swimming. I saw the high dive. I got up on the high dive. It was about 18 feet off the surface of the pool area. And I dove off, did a perfect swan dive, just like I did when I was a kid, except I forgot to tuck my head. So when I hit the water, I felt like my neck was, I knew my neck was, something's wrong with it. I could barely get out of the water. But then about a month later, I think it was, a couple weeks, somebody hit me with their car. I was in my car. 2 weeks after that, somebody did the same thing. So I just got tossed around a bit, and then things started falling apart. Started seeing double, was dizzy all the time, nauseous, walking into walls, couldn't remember anything, had no short-term memory. After about 10 months and $30,000 at OHSU, 2 neurologists couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. The massage therapist intuitively sent me to an acupuncturist who intuitively knew what was wrong with me. The first 3 steps I took in her office, she told me who I needed to go see, and that's who I went and saw, that knew exactly what was wrong with me. And so I ended up spending about 3 years in bed. And those years, those 2.5 to 3 years, are pretty, I don't remember a whole lot about it because my brain wasn't storing memory. But the event that I experienced is burned into my consciousness. I decided to check out, and I know this is YouTube, so I'm going to talk about things in general, so they're not, this video isn't, blocked or something. But my whole world was imploding as far as my health, and then of course all the internal stuff that I had repressed since childhood. At the age of 33, I just decided, because I'd already had a glimpse of the other side on several occasions, I was going to just go over there. I mean, what's the point? I could always just come back and live another life, no big deal. And the doctors, the neurologists, had prescribed me all kinds of medications that, of course, made my symptoms worse. But I had all that medication sitting there, and I put it all in a cup, and I put it all in my mouth, and I started pouring water in my mouth, and I was very logical about it. I was ready to go. And a voice boomed in the room, said no. And I spit up what I had and shouted back, "What the hell do you want?" Which started an argument. And the response back was, "Do art." And it's funny, it still makes me mad. I guess there's part of me that I enjoy doing art now, but I don't know, I guess that one particular point of tension emotionally and mentally was rooted to a bunch of other stuff. And, I got in a shouting match with what I know now is my individuated unit of consciousness, as Thomas Campbell puts it, or people call it your soul. It doesn't matter. We're all part of one consciousness. Like each droplet is part of this river. You take one of those droplets out, you say, "Oh, look, it's an individual droplet of water. How wonderful. What can it do?" But we all eventually go back to the water. We always go back to the ocean, the consciousness we're from. Anyway, I got in an argument with the universe, if you want to say it that way. I was livid. I was, I was, if you could imagine the sting of a hornet mixed with the hottest hot sauce and a red hot iron poker, all combined in one emotion, that's where I was at. I wanted nothing to do with art. Didn't want to be told to do art, and I had no interest in continuing where I was. But anyway, it didn't take me much to get exhausted back then because I was dizzy, nauseous. I was messed up. And after arguing for some time back and forth, I just got exhausted. And I said, well, I'll give you a week. I'll give you a week, but then I'm going to just do what I was going to do. Because I don't give a rip. And I had been trying to go to community college, but of course, because I couldn't remember anything and I was dizzy, thought my car was spinning counterclockwise when I drove it. Took it to 3 mechanics and they all said, no, there's nothing wrong with your car. And so going to school was not something I could really do, but I went back after that argument to, because I had to tell my instructors that I was dropping my classes. I had to go to the financial aid and tell them, I can't continue education for now. Got neurological problems. And when I was walking to or from the building from my car, random students, I had, I think, 3 of them, if I remember right. Like I said, my memory's a little vague. Oh, I thought I had a bite of a fish, but I just caught the rock down there. I don't know if that rock is edible. Yeah, maybe if you put some ketchup on it. This looks like the perfect place to fish. It's so beautiful here. It doesn't matter if I catch something or not. It's just really nice here. But, so I had, it was either 2 or 3 random students. I didn't even know these people. They just walked up to me and said, excuse me, my class is over, or I can't even remember what they said. They would say something, and then they would just hand me a canvas. And this happened, I know it was twice, but I think it might have even happened a 3rd time. I don't remember now. And then they just walked off. They just sort of shoved the canvas up against me. My reflexive action was to grab it, though I just wanted to like shred it in half. And then they just walked off. And then I was just left standing there going, crap, now I got a canvas. What the hell am I going to do with this? During that same week, a relative sent me a box of acrylic paints with brushes. Now, I had only spoken to or seen this relative, I think, once. Well, I may have spoken to him. I think I wrote them letters or something when I was a teenager. But I hadn't communicated with them for over 20 years, But they sent me a box of paints and brushes, and it happened to be in that week when I gave the ultimatum, I'll give you 5 days, and otherwise I'm just heading out. And so at the end of that 5 days, I had a bunch of paint, I had brushes, I had some canvases. Well, I didn't really give a hoot, and that's to put it mildly. Remember that red hot poker, the most toxic sting of a hornet, and the hottest hot sauce in the world? That's where my anger was at. I was so livid. It was this visceral. All these feelings were just molten lava in me. The last thing I wanted to do was to do art. I was just sick of life. I was sick of what I'd been through or done. And I didn't give a rip about any of it. I knew I was just going to pop out of my body and pop back in and be a baby again and go through life again. So who cares? You know, just start over again. Maybe things will work out better this time. And so here comes that voice again. I told it, I said, I don't care what you've provided for me, these canvases, paints, I don't give a rip. You know, I'd like to just burn them, break them up, shred them up, and throw them in the dump. And the voice came back and said the same thing. Do art. I kept saying I don't have anything that I'm interested in doing. I have no passion for it. I don't care about it. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to share at all. So, expletive, expletive, expletive. There were many of those. I think these fish are playing hard to get. I would too if I was them. You know, what I need to tell them is that I'm not going to actually catch them and take them home and eat them. I'm just going to stick a hook in them, play around with them a little bit, and then let them go. But maybe they know that already. I don't know. But anyway, I shouted my last loud expletive, and it was, you know, the F. Started with F and then Y, if you put that together. My fists were clenched as tight as I don't know. You ever tried to untie a knot that was wet? Take a wet sock and tie it into a knot real hard and stretch it and tighten it. You're never going to get that knot out. That's about as tight as my fists were. And my, well, I caught a rock there for a second. As knotted up as my internal being was. And when I said that last statement, you know, started with F, led with Y, I was looking out the window. I was living in a daylight basement at the time. I had rented the cheapest place I could find because I couldn't work. I couldn't really do anything. I mean, how can you do anything when you're walking around dizzy all the time? You know, the world's doing this all the time. You ever try to hold down a job, relationship, or anything if you drank a fifth of tequila? I mean, hopefully you don't know what that's like, but I almost did that when I was 16, and that was not a good idea. I never touched the stuff since. But I've never been a drinker, but that was a nasty experience. But that's basically how it was for me all the time. I was always dizzy. So I couldn't work. Anyway, so I was in this daylight basement, had a nice view of Mount Hood. It was set off the street, overlooking the whole city, Portland, Oregon. My fist clenched and my last statement made. I was looking out that window, and a bright light just came out of the ceiling and it just came right to my forehead. It was like a light of Thor's hammer. It was just like somebody hit me in the head with a baseball bat or a hammer, or all light. And I have a mild remembrance of my body, like just basically collapsing. But when I woke up, my body was on the floor, and I picked myself up. I felt like felt like my body was weighed 4 times as much as it did. But anyway, in my book, I'll detail more, what I went through. But the basic thing I went through, for whatever reason, I experienced, my consciousness experienced shifting out of my human lens and going to separate specific places where I was just basically shown these scenes, and each one of these scenes had a meaning for me. But the main one was that the first one I went to was a meadow. And I've done a ton of research on near-death studies, and it's a very common place. It's like, hey, here's the train station. Everybody come over here first before we send you through the tunnel or whatever. And so I ended up in this meadow. Of course, the colors were not just like these here. They were significantly more interesting. Not to say that these aren't interesting, I'm just saying that the colors were more vibrant there. The meadow just sort of, it was like you could sense the air in the meadow as its own consciousness, which it was, because everything's consciousness. Every leaf of every or blade of grass, it was all moving synchronistically. The flowers, the insects, the birds swooping by, the clouds in the beautiful sky. The meadow led up a small incline up to this large, looked like an oak tree in the distance. Probably about, 500 feet away. Kind of like here to the other side of the river over there. But the first thing that happened is I noticed a bumblebee on one of the flowers, and I've always loved bumblebees. There's another brilliant cat. Because bumblebees are so cute. They're all fuzzy, and science says they're not even supposed to be able to fly. I don't know if that's true. There's those bumblebees I've talked to, they said, hey, it's part of our job to fly. I don't care what your scientists are saying. Here comes a beautiful, it's a bat. Well, that's interesting. It's daytime, and this little bat is out here flying right above my head. I'm casting this line over here, and I wonder if he thinks it's food. He's got a slight thinness or a hole in one of his wings. It takes up about 1/4 of his wing, but it doesn't seem to stop him from flying. I guess if you want to fly, you can fly. But anyway, this thing's still, the tape is still running. Or the phone, whatever. Anyway, I saw some things. And I'll get into that more, maybe on another video or in my book. I'm trying to get my book done. It's like, as I was told to paint, now I'm told, finish your damn book. It's like, well, all right, well, it'd be nice to win the lottery, so the only thing I had to do was, write a damn book and paint paintings. But, anyway, I went through a tunnel more than once. I went to this meadow where this being spoke to me and told me it was okay to let go of all the self blame and regret and all this other crap that I've been carrying around. It was like washing a car that's been dirty for 30 years. It really needed it. I really needed it. And I felt a lot better after that conversation. I didn't really talk, but Lady did for the most part. But and she was interesting looking, fading in and out of view. But anyway, I went to different places. Went to a place that was similar to that coastline in the movie Contact with Jodie Foster at the end of the movie when she meets her father. Not really her father, but when I saw that movie, it made me cry because it reminded me so much of what I had experienced. But to cut the story a little short, because I know that people got things to do, and this thing's already 31 minutes. When it was over, I woke up in my body on the floor and wondering, what the hell just happened? There was nobody in the room. There was no voice in the room either. Like, oh, by the way, I hope you enjoyed the ride. Let us know if you need any of your questions answered. No, there was none of that. No conversation. The only thing that was present in me was that I was pretty much relieved of all the stress I had felt within myself, all the memories of regret and stuff. And the other thing was that I wanted to paint. There wasn't anything that was going to freaking stop me from painting. Because I wanted to paint, or try to paint. There's no way I could really paint what I saw. But I just wanted to journal it out. I wanted to grab a canvas, paint it out, so that I didn't forget what I saw, or what I experienced, or whatever. And if I don't catch anything, I think I'll just take this lure home, put some butter on it, and eat it. No, I don't recommend that. But so it was fitting that those canvases and paint were sitting there. And that's what I did. I was dizzy, nauseous, not feeling good, but I was hyper focused. And I had drawn lots of colored pencils. I had done lots of beautiful watercolors, but I never really was successful with paint. Oil paints or acrylic paints. It's just what do you do with these big blobs of paint? I just struggled with it. Was never really good at putting that stuff together. So before I started that first painting, I just looked at the paint and said, who wants to go first? Because I had no idea what the hell to do. And, a particular color stood out. I grabbed it, and then I said, how much? How much do you want to come out? And I just squeezed it out, stopped. Then I started painting. I've never since pre-drawn anything, sketched it out. I just painted out and it's done. It's not a superpower. It's just, that's the way it works. But the other thing that's come out of this, because I painted sometimes 24 hours a day without sleep, is I think I finished the first probably 6 or 8 paintings. Can't remember how many now. But I wanted to just keep painting. And so I asked, well, You know, I guess I could have gone back and just tried to paint another angle of the scenes that I had seen, or repaint the scenes in a better way. But instead I just asked, what do I paint? You know, now what do I paint? And what happened, and it still continues today, is I immediately had a shift in consciousness where I saw a vivid visionary experience in the form of a scene. It could be narrative or abstract, and I can remember all the ones that I've had. If I look at my painting, I can simultaneously see the experience in my consciousness. So then these experiences started happening, so then I would just paint them out. And, you know, they wouldn't take me that long. And then, you know, life happened. Some people think, oh, you have a near-death experience or out-of-body experience, your whole life changes and everything's great. No. You're still in a human consciousness. You still have to make decisions. And I still wasn't equipped to make good ones. You know, I got married, got divorced, was blessed with being a parent, and still made a ton of mistakes. But, well, I think I caught a rock that time. I don't know how good a rock is with some butter and salt and pepper. I used to suck on rocks when I was a kid. But anyway, that's my experience that started my painting. You can call it a near-death experience. You could call it a out-of-body experience. I don't know what happened to me, you know. Oh shit, there's a big rock coming down here. Okay. Sorry for the cussing. I wonder if that was a Bigfoot. And I have seen a Bigfoot. It was about 15 to 18 feet from me, looked me directly in the eye, and we held each other's gaze for about 15 seconds, and then it turned around and walked away. It's just another form of the consciousness we're experiencing here, just like ghosts and everything else. But that was a big rock. Something let it loose up there. It could just be, you know, the soil has been degrading because it's been raining. Now, if it happens again, I might be getting the heck out of here. But that in a nutshell is the experience that brought me to paint. And I'm grateful now, and I have been since I started painting, for the experience and for the opportunity to paint and to translate metaphors, that's what my paintings are, into a visual form. And what I do with the paintings is I sit with them and I just open my consciousness to what I might derive from it, like you derive from a dream. I don't think there's anything special or magical about my paintings, just as a dream isn't particularly special or magical unless we place that meaning on it. And so, yeah. So, anyway, I can get into this a little more in other videos. This one's about 40 minutes long already. And I'm grateful for your attention to listening. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of fishing. I know that I have so far. I think it's been fun. There's just something about being in nature. I could be standing here, you know, making paper boats and putting them out on the water. Of course, that wouldn't probably be good for Mother Nature unless I made them out of leaves. But it's just nice to be with Mother Nature. So thanks for visiting my channel, The Coherence Path. All roads lead to you. And yeah, my email is in. I have another channel called What Was Seen, where I discuss things like Bigfoot and other strange things we can't explain, like superhuman strength and ghosts and hearing voices. And so, if you want to be interviewed for that channel, I'd be grateful for your interest. So thanks for visiting my channel. I'll see you again maybe.